Good morning, Andrea.
Good
Are
morning.
you ready to talk about the best mysteries of the year?
I
Do you
mean,
even
we're gonna talk about all
remember?
of them.
Do you even remember all 18 mysteries of the year?
I do after I made my list.
Well, today we get to make some people happy, make some people upset as we run through and discuss all 18 and rank them. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is Eric.
This is Andrea.
This is Hallmark Mysteries and more.
And more.
This podcast was created by fans for fans and is not affiliated with or sponsored by Hallmark or the Hallmark channel.
Whew, I'm looking at my list and I already feel like I want to change some.
Well, you do have the ability while
So I'm
we're
like, as
recording, like
we're,
shift,
I'm literally
shift,
gonna do
shift,
that right
shift.
now. I looked at where I put one and I was like, why did I put it that low? That's going
I
higher.
so I will say with mine is there was a definite like top tier, right?
Yes, 100%.
Very, very, very good top tier. And then that like middle, I don't, two-thirds are all probably on any given
Interchangeable.
day. You know what? I like this one a little bit better. Like there's so minute difference. And then there's obviously the bottom couple that I was like, yeah, that's not going to make my list no matter what. Do you have any ones that are going to shock?
I think I have one that's probably higher on my list than it's going to be on anyone
Uh,
else's list.
I think
And
I do
probably
too.
is going to be one where people are like, really?
So we talked about this last night when we were texting, and I'm like, I go into all of our rankings or any of these things going, I know 100% what you are going to do. And I have yet to be like 25. I don't know how we talk. We talk all the time. One of the reasons why we do this podcast was we were like so aligned in our thinking all the time. And yet every time you
Never,
just
never the same.
you surprise me. So I'm excited. I have a here's my bold prediction. We will have the same number one, maybe the same one and two. And if we do not,
Wow.
I am shocked.
I don't think we're going to have the same one and two. Maybe one, but I don't think both. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Well, let's start by diving back into last week's Christmas movies. So we had our predictions, and for me, mine lived up to be my favorite. I really wanted to see Holiday Crashers, and that ended up being my favorite from the weekend. What was your favorite from the weekend?
I very much like Holiday Crashers. I would not deny it, but I stayed with "'Twas the Date Before Christmas." Um, they, but
I
and
can't
one
argue that
A,
either. Yeah.
right? They were
They were both
both pretty
really good.
comparable. A lot of people, which I found interesting, had a big problem with the fact she was lying about being a lawyer. I'm
Mm.
like, welcome to Hallmark. Yes, it's obviously a felony. We know all those things, but don't let things like reality get in the way. The only thing you can do is when they insult your intelligence, like you have to be dumb. But did you watch Suits?
I did not. I
Well,
did not.
that's essentially the same premise of Suits, but he's actually practicing law, complicit with the law firm, knowing like that is 1,000 times worse. And they had, I don't know, like 13 seasons or 100 seasons of that show, and everyone loved it. And it's like number one thing on Netflix. Yes, it's illegal, we know it, but this is Hallmark. Let stuff like that go. It will just kill you.
Well, the poll results, because I did poll everyone, and I will say my polls usually around this time, I mean, I have double the response. So this is a hefty amount of people. 43%. So I asked what was their favorite from the weekend. 43% said 'twas the date before Christmas. And then second place, very
Oh,
close.
wait. Sorry. I was like, oh my gosh, it crushed. But then I realized I have a feeling one of them is very low. So
Correct.
go ahead.
Holiday Crashers was 53%, and that left Scouting for Christmas at just a little old 4%. So just as we kind of said, that was the least one we were least
It
looking forward to.
it was my
It
number one least favorite.
it was not my favorite either, unfortunately. I mean, it was fine. I was watching the Lynx game, and so I didn't know if it was like man, the Lynx, I will just say they got robbed from that championship. So I'm a Lynx fan. I'm from Minnesota. So that I was watching that at the same time. So I didn't know if that was tainting my view of the movie on top
Nope.
of this game. And then I finished it the next morning and it never really got better. So I was like, okay, I think it was just the movie. Didn't help the game.
Well, here's what I'll say. I fell asleep not once, but twice
Oof.
watching it towards the end. Um, I tried. Now, JC, I'll say was fantastic. And for
She
me, the reason
was.
why
She
I
was
was
delight.
not looking forward to this is the kid fixing up the parent worse than royal trope, right? And
Oh
kids,
no, Royal Trope, my worst.
ugh. But I'll tell you, the kid, I thought she was handed, crap material, but I thought she actually was pretty solid, and she was not the reason why I did not like this movie. It was all the other things. And I have to say, now this is my controversial take that I don't know. I know people love Tamara, and I loved her in Haunted
Road
what
Harmony. She
Haunted
was so
Harmony,
good.
but I don't like what's a good rom-com that she's been in that she's had some chemistry. I
She's like Jodie Sweetin. I mean, they both maybe don't have that chemistry with their on-screen partner. I can totally see that. Maybe it's a 90s like TV
That's
thing.
what I
Like they
think it's
just,
got to be. I think it's
you
got to be
know,
the 90s that people are just
yeah.
clinging because she's
Oh,
not
I'm
been in a
sure.
good rom-com
I
that
am.
I know. So, and
Yeah.
Haunted Harmony, by the way, loved her in it. So stick to the
I
mysteries.
know. I'm bummed we didn't get any more of those this year, but we'll dive into that
But
in a little bit.
oh, and then
So,
Lindsay
yeah,
Fonseca or whatever. She is
she was
like
so good.
she's quickly becoming one of my favorites because
She
each
was
one
so
I
good.
see her in, I like her more and more and more. And I thought she was fantastic in this. And then the reason why I was so excited for Twas the Night or Twas the Day Before Christmas was seeing Amy Groening in a lead role. She hands down
Oh, she
proved
was so
she
good.
can be lead. Is typical Hallmark. They're not going to come in guns a-blazing with the most innovative, bold movie, right? What they're going to do in this first weekend is get us just easing into it, get us comfortable, get us in the spirit and with something, good.
Familiar.
Will it be the top five at the end of the year? Probably. I'm holding out that no, we're going to have some really great movies, but it checks all the boxes, and she was fantastic. Her Robert Normal, if you want to call him that. But
I love
they,
Robert Buckley.
they check all the boxes, great chemistry, fun premise, and same thing, Christmas, with the Holiday Crashers one, all the boxes checked, and I thought it was great. But I thought it was the chemistry between Bree and Tony was the best chemistry of everything. Seeing the, girl power together, I had so much
Oh yeah.
fun. So
Yeah. Well, then speaking of this weekend, so are they going to ease us in? So here are our four choices for what we are pick for this coming weekend. So we have
I
a
think we're going to be
Thursday.
different.
I think so too. I know we're going to be different. Um, the Thursday movie is going to be on the Hallmark Mystery and channel, and that is going to be with Allison Sweeney and Niall Mater, and that is This Time Each Year. That was one Jenny was least looking forward to from our
Right.
review show. Then we have Friday night Operation Nutcracker, which I think we both have seen. I've seen it and
Yep.
loved it. Um, and then Saturday night, and that one was this with Chris Russell and with Ashley Newbrow. And then we have Saturday night, the Christmas Charade with Rachel Scarston and Corey
Woo-hoo.
Sevier. And then Sunday, the 5-year Christmas party with Katie Finley, and it doesn't have the male lead. So those are our four new movies. What are you most looking forward to? I think we already know.
Christmas charade,
Yeah.
obviously. It's I I like Rachel. I think her and Corey have great chemistry. It was the thing for me that saved, which we'll be getting into. Um, Jazz Ramsey, I think that they play well together. I like the premise. I think it's fun. And it pains me because 5-year Christmas Party has Katie Finley in it, and they are so good, always in good movies. So I think it's going to be like this past weekend, 1 and 1A. I think both of those are going to be fantastic. But I did choose whatever the Christmas charade as one of my top five, so I have to stick with. And oh my God, she looks stunning in the poster, stunning. So that red dress that they have her in for, I'm guessing the finale is fantastic. How about you?
Well, my hot take, Operation Nutcracker.
Yeah, you've
I've
seen
already
it.
seen it.
You can't
I
look
know,
forward
but
to it.
I'm looking at all of the movies and I'm not necessarily looking forward to any other movie. So Operation Nutcracker gets my vote. I already know I like it. I'm not looking forward to this weekend. Like, I looked at the previews for the 5-year Christmas party. We didn't get a ton. It doesn't look that great to me. So I'm like, you know what? I was going to pick it, but then after seeing the previews, I'm like, no, the Operation Nutcracker. So it's a little controversial. What can I
Katie's
say?
never done us wrong. So you can at least
No.
hold out on that.
I mean, I'm holding
And
out a little hope, but I'm a little worried. So
and I'll say
give me the
I am
Nutcracker.
sure this time each year is probably going to be a fantastically great moving drama, right?
Yeah, that one's
I
you're gonna have to be in your feels for it.
I don't want that in the holidays. I get it. I don't want
People like it.
couples who are split, you know. I just want I want to just feel good, feel good. So and I feel bad because like I said, I am sure it is going to be an excellent movie. Just not what I'm looking
Not
for
for
at
you.
this time of the year.
Well, let's reflect on this year. So we're going to kind of go back to all of the mysteries from 2024. And I sent you over the list of 18, the ones that aired and the ones that were brand new this year. So we had 18. Now, this are also including Hallmark Plus. Without Hallmark Plus, we would have taken out what, 5 of these movies.
Yep.
So Hallmark Plus really added, packed a little punch at the end. So let's start at the bottom of the barrel for ourselves. My number 18 is probably no surprise. Actually, maybe it is a surprise. Jazz Ramsey is my least favorite of the year. So
As
yeah,
I'm sitting here talking about
I
Corey
know.
and
That's why I'm
Rachel's
not looking forward
chemistry.
to that one. Although they looked like they had better chemistry there. So to me, Rachel was very stiff and just very like kind of boring almost in Jazz Ramsey. And then watching her, so I was like, maybe it's a Rachel. No, they look the Christmas trade. She looks like she's having fun and more playful energy. So I'm like, I wish they would have brought some of that to Jazz Ramsey. So for me, that's why it is my least favorite of the year. I couldn't get into it. Although my number 17 is also a very close second. They are actually the bottom 3 are very interchangeable for me. All 3
Just
not my
rattle them
favorite.
off, then I'll rattle my 3 off.
17 is Gilded Newport, which we all know that wasn't our favorite. But again, the bones are there. I want to go back in time and do a mystery like this. I just want different actors. 16, Family Practices Come Homecoming. Again, love Brendan Penning. It just kind of boring. The way they filmed it was just slow moving. Not my favorite. I'm assuming those are probably your bottom 3.
Nope.
What?
Close.
Okay. What are
I
yours?
have coming in, by the way, I just have to take a thing. So my sister got me this lovely big Detroit Lions mug
Oh shoot, they
for
just
my
beat the
birthday.
Vikings.
They did. The
Mm.
problem of it is I have my tea seeper thing or whatever you call it sits in the top of the mug and it barely makes it. Like I have to put in a cup and a half of water into this. So my tea's kind of weak, I've discovered. So too much of a good thing maybe, but on to the movies. I was just trying to get into a good mood
Oh
before we talked about these
gosh.
bottom couple movies. Um, Jane Mysteries, Too Much to Lose. It was too much, and I did lose. So
Wow, really? That was your bottom?
that was my bottom. I just found it had like other ones were higher, and it had promise, and it just failed to deliver. And I guess that was my reason is I had these expectations, and it just crashed on it. So comes in
And
at
that was the
18.
one with the game show. So if people are listening and because again, sometimes we can't remember all the titles. So that was the last one that aired for Jane. That was the game
Yep.
show mystery.
And we talked about it. It had built up. There was a couple good subplots going, and it just went back
Subplot.
to the original one where it just was out of the blue, nothing tied together. All the momentum just crashed down. So for me, it was like a sugar, whatever when you crash from a sugar high. So kaboom. Didn't put it down there at 18. 17, Family Practices, Homecoming. Just watching her go around. And it's funny how I say, oh, you have to check reality, but seeing her running around violating HIPAA for 124 minutes and just nothing pulled me in on it. I do think, and I will say all of these movies, with the exception of Jenks, we have had now 4 of them, so we know what's going on. There's a fundamental flaw where
Do
they
we know what's
don't,
going on?
well, that's the fundamental flaw is they don't tie things together, right? So why to think it'll change, I think they've set the precedent. But
Right.
family practices, I do think that there is something there that
Right.
like, oh, hey, let's look at it and tweak it and we can make this better. We know where we went wrong. Let's do this. And I think it could be better because I think the leads I think are solid. I think they're both talented. I think they're both likable. So I think it has the opportunity. But this one just fell very flat. Then getting into number 16, Gilded Newport, same exact thing as you. I personally think this was the director saying, I want to be period piece, so I am going to take out all emotion of all my actors. I know you think it's more of the
Well,
actor.
we'll find out during the Christmas movies because I think they
So
both are in one. So we will find out where that
that's,
ends up.
wait, Danny is in a
I
Christmas?
thought so.
I
I thought
don't,
I heard that. Maybe not.
oh, I don't know.
You
Maybe.
know me, I half read the descriptions. So
Yes. And then made a very firm prediction. But so I think, once again, I think that the director just had them be too stiff. I could be wrong. We'll find out. But that's what, we both agreed. The movie had potential and just didn't get there because it was just too rigid and didn't didn't pull us in and get us emotional and all take advantage of all this wonderful period piece, you know, that it had going for it. Okay, I'm going to drop my 15 in there because it does match up now with you. 15, I have Jazz Ramsey, a K9 mystery. Uh, it, once again, it kind of these bottom 5 could all shift around on any given day. I like Jazz Ramsey only because I think Rachel and Corey had really good chemistry. I think they were given a boring script that had nothing to do with it, but the two of them, I think, will make a very good couple. I will say I will be shocked though if they do another one of these. I
that's it going.
I don't see it coming back because neither of them I don't think have the star power like a family practice with Brennan Penny. That that could be, a little bit more so, but I don't see either of these two being in that elite Hallmark universe where they'll be like, oh, we're got to give them a little more chance. But I don't know.
Well, I'll share my 15 because it also, you already said it. Jane Mysteries Too Much to Lose is my 15. So
And so
our
you're
bottom 4,
shocked mine was 18.
well,
Shocked, outrage, and yours is right there.
I mean, as I was reading my list. So our bottom 4 are all obviously interchangeable, probably for most of our list. I mean, so that's, I guess, a good sign that our bottom 4 are the same movies, maybe not in the same order, but we kind of align there. So now I bet we're going to get a little bit let's do our next 3. So I don't think this one's going to be this low for your
Sorry,
list. My number,
this is where could be very big shifts for me from 14 through I'll
no,
say
mine are pretty,
6.
no,
All of them are fairly close.
interchangeable.
Fairly close. Definitely tiers, but 14 on, I think are good mysteries that from this point on, I enjoyed from this point on.
Not my 14 is not my favorite. Nellie Knows Mysteries. That one was not high on my list. You enjoyed it way more than I did. It was just a little too much with the silly slapsticky comedy. If they rein it in a little bit, which I mean, we've seen that in like Dolores and Hannah Swenson. So I feel like they have the capabilities to rein stuff in and just tidy up the character, and then I'm all for it again. My number 13 was Hannah Swenson, A Sprinkle of Deceit. So that was the newest one that we just had. Mostly just because it just kind of felt a little dry, a little stale. Again, this is where I'm hoping that they revamp some energy into the Hannah movies. We had that with, the One Bad Apple with Victor coming in, but then it just didn't feel fresh anymore. I don't know. That one will be a question mark where that series goes. And then I'll do my just last one. So we'll just kind of do the three at a time. And then I had a Jane Mysteries, A Deadly Prescription. So I put that at number 12. That one was the pharmacy one. It just was okay. Like there was nothing super memorable about it. Like the ones above it, I liked a little more, which leads the other Jane mystery, which I'll just throw in there, is my number 11, Murder at Mosby. So it's just right above it, just because it was so bad that it was good. Plus the music and the crows and the costumes, like that to me is memorable. Not necessarily a good movie, but again, I enjoyed it more than the other two Janes. What about you?
Are
you with me still?
There's no possible way we don't have 1 and 2 the same. No possible way, because we're the same, just different order. I have my 14 is Jane Mysteries, Deadly Prescription. I could have made it my number 12, right? Same thing. I agree with you. For me, though, it was a really good jump from the first one. Like, okay, hey, we built these characters. I thought the characters were more fleshed out. I thought they were going in a good direction. It was building great momentum. But then we know things went awry, right? Going into 13, we're exactly the same. Hannah Swenson. I think the best thing of this movie for me, I do think that the chemistry between Alison Sweeney and Victor Webster is very good. I like seeing Hannah, the one who's the smitten now, instead of having the guys pursue her, where she's the pursuer. But at the same time, like you said, we'll get to it later on. One Bad Apple, great. And, it was more than just introducing Victor that made that one, great. And this one was just for me, because, like The Murder She Baked, Hannah Swenson have always been one that I've enjoyed, but never one of my favorites. And it just sort of fell into that. Great, it's on. I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm not going to go gaga over it. And then 12 was my Nellie Knows Mysteries. So, like I say, we just sort of flip-flopped where we were in these three, but we had the same exact grouping of those. And like I say, it was a fun first one. I don't know, and I do agree with you. Well, I had fun with the shenanigans, the Scooby-Doo humor of it. I don't know if it can stay at that level for multiple episodes. I think at that point it probably would wear on me, but just having such a character who's totally different, I enjoyed and I had fun with. So we'll see. Like I said, I know, and I also know that one is definitely a love it or hate it. It's not a lot of people are just like, I'm no opinion. It's if she had no idea, she had no idea, and you can't do anything about it. And then I'll go to my number 11. I had Curious Cater, Forbidden Fruit. Like, oh no, it's 11. How could it be so bad? It's good, and it's just because, like I say, these movies here for me are, I really liked all of them, and it was fun. It was good. I liked Foiled Plans better, and mostly I think the reason why this one dropped for me, and it may have actually been higher, it was just because that electrocuted band thing, I can't get past it, that I've just seen it so many times, right?
Eric,
And
so
someone sent me another one about another mystery, which was
they all
the
have been
same
done. Didn't you
thing.
remember the professor from Aurora? All the murders, they're all the
I
same.
know, but
Everyone
it's a
reuses
unique,
stuff.
but this is the thing. It's like you found it like, oh, this is such a fun, unique thing, and it should be,
No, it
but
wasn't
it wasn't. It should
unique.
be like
The band.
plug in the guitar and get electrocuted, then just change it a little bit. So I don't know. So that's for me. I couldn't get over it. And then I'll
Disagree
go
with
to
you on that.
my number 10 was Jane Mysteries, Murder at Mosby, just because it was a wild, fun romp that I was actually just
You put that above Curious Cat. Wow.
my daughter, she had a layover. She was flying back to Boston, and she was coming through Phoenix, and she had a 4-hour layover. So I went and grabbed her, and we had dinner. And she we were talking, and I forget how it came up. She's something about how, oh, if you ever kill, Carolyn, she's gonna be buried in the backyard. I'm like, I know, I'll bury her under my favorite raspberry bush. Like, I'm quoting it now. Now, granted, we're not really killing our spouses. It was like sort of some silly joking around conversation. But yes, just quoting that movie was just so much fun. All right, who do you have at 10?
Hannah Swenson, One Bad Apple.
Really?
Again,
Wow.
mostly just because the series in general. Probably my now moving forward, number 9 up. Those are all ones I really, really liked. 10 down. Like I enjoyed, or I should say 10 through 15, I enjoyed. The bottom 3 didn't so
It-
much enjoy, but
wait,
this one is not going to land higher for me just because I think there were better movies. Like I just think there were better ones this year.
and going off memory, isn't Hannah Swenson Murder She Baked your no, it was your number 2,
No,
right? Your garage sale was number 1.
Garage Sale and then Gourmet.
Wow. Wow.
Gourmet is
This is
number 2.
oh, okay.
Murder She Baked and Hannah Swenson, I put in 2 different categories. Murder She Baked of old, just a different feel. Again, the time,
Right.
the coziness. I'm a big cozy person. Like once you expose me to the town and I like the cozy atmosphere, which it's going to play out as we move up our list, that's a big thing for me. That's why I love me some Murder She Wrote. I like the cozy feel mysteries. What was your number 9, 8, and 7 then?
So my number 9 is Crime Time Free Fall. Loved it. Thought it was great. I want more. Luke McFarlane playing like well, once again, I feel weird saying the straight guy with the uh Lindy Greenwood being like the crazy kooky one. I thought they just were played so well off each other. I thought it was well written. The mystery was fun. It was fresh. It was different. Good amount of humor. And I think a lot of people like, oh, the Nelly nose was a little too over the top. I think and I forget what her name is in that, but Lindy Greenwood's character maybe more people speed than where she still was an over the top character, but she was 50% of what Nelly was. And so I think maybe a little more comfortable there. But great mystery. Love it. Super strong cast. So moving on, True Justice. Love the ensemble thing. I know that it's supposed to be Kate McNamara is like the main one, but the whole, crew, what are they, the Justice League or whatever
Mhm.
they were, the Justice Squad, like the whole group of them together
That
to
seems so
me
far ago
is what
because it
makes
aired
this.
so, in
Yeah.
January.
Yes, but that's just what makes this one for me, right? Like you could focus on each one of them could have their own story moving forward, like, a la, you know, Wedding Veil or Groomsman kind of thing. It doesn't have to just be that lead. There's just such depth in this one, and I thought it was well written. I thought the mystery was good. This is Nikki DeLoach and Meg McNutt, who are, writers who are writing this. So I thought that was uh, a really good one. And then getting down to number 7, I had my Curious Cater foil plans. Liked it, loved where they're going, characters progressing, being in the castle, like one essentially scene, and not scene, one location, which a fantastic location was good. Enjoyed the whole movie. It's just really, and you talked about this when we reviewed the Forbidden Fruit one, just how this is just been stair stepping into being better, better, better. And by the way, just because I have Forbidden Fruit so much lower, I don't think it was that like much worse of a movie. It was just the one thing, as I said, I've seen that little storyline. So for me, that's why Foil Plans is way here and Forbidden Fruit is there. But they're so close and they're just moving along as far as the series goes. So what about you?
Well, 9, True Justice, Family Ties. Again, maybe if we've seen this later in the year, it might have been higher just because it was good. We liked it, but it's just been a long time. So, my next one we have not, I don't think, said Crimes of Fashion, Killer Clutch. That's going to land at number 8 for me. Again, the first time I watched it, I did not like it at all, and then it kind of grew on me the second time. So I could move that down. Like that could be one where I could see myself moving it down on my list, but then looking at what's below it, I don't really have anything that I would move up above it besides maybe True Justice. Like those two could flip. Otherwise, I enjoyed it a little bit more than some of the other ones. My number 7 is probably going to be shocking. Tip Line is number 7 for me.
Okay, we do not have.
I
See,
told you
once
we weren't
again,
going to.
I
So Tip Line, I liked it, but my 6 above it, I loved. Like This is probably, yeah, the top 6 for me are all love, love, loves. I will watch again and again. Tip Line, I'm not going to necessarily seek it out if it's on, it's a little bit, again, it's darker filmed. Like it's more at nighttime. I'm not as big into that. I like my bright cozies. And so that's why it landed at number 7. It was still good, but have a vibe. It didn't quite hit my vibe.
I don't know if I can keep going. I'm
I know.
literally have
That's
a
what I
hole.
said. You
I have
never
a
guessed mine
hole.
right. I
I have a
have an idea of
hole
what yours
in
are,
my
and I think I'm actually right.
I have a hole in my gut right now. I'm shocked. Literally shocked.
I don't know why you thought I'd have that.
Shocked.
You talk about it all the time. I don't.
But I don't
Oh,
listen. That's why I just listen to me.
that's true too.
I tell you
Maybe
how
that's
my
it.
did I tell
Maybe
you how
that's it.
did I tell you how my roommate from school, he was my roommate in college, then he was my roommate when we lived in LA. So he's been my best friend for whatever, 30 plus years. He was playing golf and he listens to these golf podcasts, and his ended while he was practicing, and enrolled our, I forget which one it was when we were talking about whatever, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to listen to him. And here's the good thing is he said, because he used to listen to the podcast when it was first launched and would give me tips and advice and feedback, and then he's not a Hallmark guy, so he hasn't listened to it in a year and a half, but he came back and he's like, wow, you're so much better. It's really good. You and your co-host have great chemistry. I love it. But the best thing she ever said was, Eric, you don't listen. So,
That's it. That is your problem. So you're not listening to me. So this is why you completely do not know what I'm going to say. And I, in my back of my head, I already know, I think, where you're going. So do you want me to do my next 3, or would you like to do your 6,
I just
5,
don't, I
4?
don't know if I can talk. I'm so hurt right now. All right, where are we at? We're at 6. I'll go 6. Um, number 6 is Tip Line. I'm joking. Number 6.
Oh, I was like, what? That whole ordeal just to put in one.
It is not number 6. I was just trying to trick you up since you think you know me. Number 6 is Crimes of Fashion, Killer Clutch. Loved it. Brooke Dorsey. I thought she just killed it. I like it how it's international. Hopefully they can figure out a way to keep that going. Another thing I liked about it is it's Hallmark, and so we know what the Hallmark budgets were, but they were able to do a fashion movie. Like we talked about this with the Deadly Guild, or not the Deadly Guild. What's the
Building
Murder at the
Newport?
Breaker, right?
Yeah.
Like doing that period piece on a Hallmark budget and getting the costumes right. Like they were okay. They weren't really like wow, but they don't have the budget to do the Netflix or HBO type, you know, wardrobe. But I think in this one, Killer Clutch looked expensive when they were doing fashion shows and all of that. It didn't look like it was like Hallmark budgety. They did a fantastic job. But like I say, Brooke Dorsey, I just found her totally likable. I want to see more of her. I've talked about her before. She's this one who I never give her the credit that she deserves because I always forget about her. And then I see her and I'm like, oh my God, she is so good. But then I forget about her again. But she is an elite Hallmark actor. She needs to be up there. And then I've got my Hannah Swenson, One Bad Apple. For me, like I said, it's sort of a good series, not a great series. And for me, this is the best of all. What is it? Like, I think there's 11 of them now or whatever it is, but it is the best all around Hannah Swenson / Murder She Baked for me. Loved it. The introduction of Victor. Victor is hands down the best male counterpart that she's ever had. He elevates the entire thing. Just thought this was the best one. And then going into number 4, I've got Aurora Teagarden, Death at the Diner. Loved it. We are getting into now where I would say just elite of the elite of the elite with my top 4 are actually, I say my top 3, and 4 is knocking at the door. So it was so good. It's like any doubt that the new Aurora can hang with the old Aurora is
Better.
completely
And that's
eliminated. Like I said,
that's coming from someone who liked the original.
and
It's better.
and people are slowly in our comments making that like, okay, I didn't want to like it. I do. I wanted Candace, but I have
So
to say
good.
Skylar is killing it, and
Oh.
Arthur, like it's so good, well written, well acted, well directed.
Well, we have some similarities there. But again, my top six are like the top, like love, love, love. Number six, again, this is where probably nobody has this high on their list. Crime Time, Free Fall. You knew I loved it. It's just a fun movie. Again, the cozy town. Maybe I have a thing for Colorado, I guess, because this was also Colorado. So for me, it worked. Like she wasn't too over the top. Like I found that she played Lindy played Hadley, the character, really well. So when I was just looking through the comments on like the app when people pin review, I was like, wow, it's a very stark, just as probably Nelly is. You either loved this one or hated it. It seems to be no in between. So for me, it was a love. That's why it's so high on my list. Now, number five, you mentioned this one, Aurora Teagarden, Death at the Diner. Um, Loved it. Like I would not have expected the Auroras to land this high on my list because I haven't mentioned either of them yet. So for me, the new Auroras really knocked it out of the park. And again, I loved the original, saw all of them. I just think they're doing something different with it, but yet similar in terms of, you have the same characters, but they're taking it in slightly a different direction. The acting is superb. You got Steve Basic in there, who I do think really grounds in the movie as well as someone who's just like that stable, adult character with maybe the younger, Aurora. I mean, obviously they're adults, because they're, over 20 and out of college, but like the young adults compared to like, hey, we have this stable, and then we have Mary Lou Henner, she's also this stable adult there. So I really do enjoy the new Auroras. Give them a chance to watch them. Again, we've mentioned this on, I think, the last Death of the Diner review we did, but I hope Hallmark puts them on the Hallmark Mystery and gets more people to watch these, because they're sitting on something that's really, really good. And I don't think the Janes need to go on to the regular Hallmark. I don't think people are missing anything there, but I do think they are missing something if they don't have Hallmark Plus with the Auroras, because those are worth getting Hallmark Plus for a month even, just so you can watch them. And then number four, I don't think we've mentioned this one, is Cases of Mystery Lane, Death is Listening. So that's number four for me. Loved it. I just loved three that are above it a little bit more. So that's not to say that it's not good, because I really enjoyed it and I want to see more cases, but I just have three that I prefer a little bit more.
Well, I'll say three is Cases for me. Death is Listening. Liked it. I I think the writing on this, Joel and Margot are really position themselves as just elite writers. And when we did our review, we talked, the mystery, was it unsolvable? No, it wasn't, but it's such a good story that you're pulled in, you're enjoying yourself, you're having fun. Enough of the red herring where you maybe question yourself, but at the end of the day, it's not like a gasp on the mystery, but doesn't matter. But the characters have so much flavor to them that you just love them, and it's totally different because there's no quote unquote love interest, right? They're a married couple struggling with married issues, calling each other babe, which, as we have discussed, that's what we do when you're married, as long as you just don't call your spouse by their name. And introducing like the little mouse in there, the whole array of the kooky podcast characters. Katie, who we just had on the podcast for interview. She was delightful. Just all of them was so much fun. It's one of the mysteries where I just, at the end of it, just, I know someone gets killed and you shouldn't say it, but just at the end, feel good and enjoyed myself watching it. Number two, I'm right there with you. Aurora Teagarden, A Lesson in Murder. So, so, so good. I talked earlier about our weekend holiday movies, 1 and 1A. It is almost a perfect mystery in every aspect. When they came out with the prequel with something new, I really enjoyed it. I think I liked it more than most. And people were either kind of getting into the prequel or just shutting it down. This one knocked the doors off and said, kaboom, we are just a standalone, fantastic mystery. Everything about it was absolutely spectacular. Skylar owns Aurora. She is exactly like, even when I read the book, she's even better than the book Aurora. She is so good. Arthur, he, you know, is great. This he can verbally act, he can non-verbally act. You feel his tension throughout it. And Steve Basic, as you know, I've become the treasurer of the Steve Basic fan club. I've always liked the guy, but never whatever. Now he is just absolutely, utterly fantastic and should be in every single mystery at some role. I don't care what it is, he should be in there because he elevates everything. So, as you said it, if you are holding out on Hallmark Plus and I don't want to spend any more, do the free window, watch these two, binge some of the other things that are out there. You will be hooked. You will realize it's probably a hell of a lot better spend than some of the other things, especially if you're a Hallmark fan. And if you're a Hallmark mystery fan, you'll be getting those because there's more of the Hallmark. We've got the mistletoe murders coming down and just all the other stuff. So, like you, we are on bandwagon. Aurora. So good. I could do a whole nother review on this one, but I'll let you do your 3 and 2.
Well, my 3, Curious Caterer, Forbidden Fruit. Again, this is a series that I didn't go into this year enjoying per se. Like it was one that I was like, oh, fine, if you're giving us some, I'll watch it. And then now it's ending up in my top 3. Like it's just such a great cozy mystery. Like it's giving me everything I want in my cozy mysteries and an ongoing series. Like it's giving me everything I wanted maybe Jane to be, but we're not getting quite the congruency and through line of even just having the same writer. I think would have just helped that. And just having just like they do murder boards on the movies, they should have done that for the Jane mysteries. And I think that would have maybe given me some of that, but it didn't. And so it's,
It,
that's why it's towards the bottom for me and Curious Cater is towards the top. I have the cozy feels here.
but I just want to jump in what you just said there. Like that is the thing right there about like their murder boards. Their murder boards have that consistency that has been in all of them. They're like little elaborate, frou-frou murder boards. It's become an ongoing thing that it's little, but it ties them all together. And that's like, I agree with you 100%. It's what makes it a series and so enjoyable.
Well, my number 2 is the same as your number 2, Aurora Teagarden, A Lesson in Murder. And that was, if people are listening, that was the first one that aired, if they're trying to remember which one. That was with the college, with the great ending scene of the chase, through the diner, and Kevin Smith was in it. So again,
Through the
that
pizza
one
place,
is,
not the diner.
oh yes, sorry, did I say diner? I meant pizza
Yeah.
place. That one is just a standout performance by all involved, as well as the mystery itself, like having, hey, we did it with 3 people. Like it was just really well done. And so that will be one I will go back and rewatch because I'll sometimes, just throw one on. And just as I had said with my garage sale, like there's certain ones that I'm like, oh, I want to watch this more so than others. Forbidden Fruit, A Lesson in Murder. Those are 2 that I'm like, yes, I'll throw those on. My number 1 is one I'm going to throw on all the time. I freaking loved it. So that's kind of where I landed. My number 1, I'll just share, Curious Caterer, Foiled Plans. I'm surprised. How did you not know that was my number 1, Eric? Like, how did you think
I
anything but that was going to be my number 1?
I thought it was going to
I've
be in
talked
top
about
5.
this.
I thought they
No,
were
I've talked about it all the time. That is just the castle. Like that castle one for me is just so memorable. I really enjoyed all of like, hey, let's play dress up and let's, that kind of same room situation, and how they had the different murders happening. And then the father comes in and, who knows what happens, to the love interest as he leaves the next time. But I I love it. I am all in. That's what kind of pulled me into Curious Caterer period. Like otherwise I was kind of out on it, but that was the first movie to pull me in, and it's really pulled me in all the way. So, Goldie and Tom, I'm all in on this relationship now and ready to see where they take this series. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably get more of this. So that's also where you're like, yes, I can get invested again in a series like this because I know I'm going to get more. Because I think sometimes as we read our list of 18, there's a lot of potentially just one-offs, and then it's hard to really get invested in them. Like Aurora Teagarden, I really hope that they make more of these because that's such a great cast. I want to stay invested. I want to see Lynn come back in. I want to see what happens before, she quote unquote, grows up and becomes the Candace Cameron Bure version of Aurora. So I really think that they have stuff to play with there. And obviously cases, I'm thinking we'll probably get more of those. And then the other one, like Crime Time, Tip Line, Crimes of Fashion, True Justice, my next ones, question mark for all of them. I have no idea. Do I want more? Of course. Are we going to get more? I don't know. And then towards the bottom there, the Hannah, we're getting more, whether we want more or not. And then
Okay.
Jane, again, question mark there. If we'll get more, I'm okay not getting more. Because it just, unless they tie things up, like you have to get things going in that series. Because so also just one more quick rant as we're talking about these. If they did to Crime Time, Tip Line, Crimes of Fashion, if they did what they did to Jane and just didn't stay consistent with anything, I'm not as invested then. Like I need you to be consistent. If you're going to build a series like you have with Curious Caterer. Like that's now where I'm on board. I think you might have people on board with Jane if you would have built up a series rather than just throw random movies at us. And granted, The Murder at the Mosby landed higher on our list because it was so bad it was good, and that's not a great thing when that's our favorite Jane one. And it was okay. It was just memorable because it was bad. So
I agree with you because
frustrations
it
there.
seemed like they were, after the prescription for murder, were building,
And then it
then
went,
nothing.
yeah.
And it goes
Yeah.
back to like what we just said with the having the, because even in the uh in Foil Plans, they made the fun little murder board where they were like drawing the characters and everything, right? So that's like a thing that ties them together. It's just these little fabrics that tie these together that make it so each one builds. So I agree with you. And I'll say, with along with your rant, Jane, they've given us 4. We always say, hey, give us 3 to let it develop, and then we can make our mind up. For me, Jane, I had hopes. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite going into it, but when they had more, I'm like, all right, I'm all in. And I liked the characters per se. Let's see them grow. We didn't. So moving on. And I agree with you. All the other ones, I'd love to see them and where they go. But once again, grow them, have it all
Makes sense.
build off each other, because your Curious Cater is a case study in the power of the mystery, right? Some people, you like the first one, it's okay, and then but you like the second one more, and then you like the third one, then you're like all in on these characters. So,
Yeah.
all right,
All right. Tell us your number one, which I'd already guessed.
I think it's pretty obvious. It's Tip Line. I I had very moderate expectations going into it.
It's Detroit.
It's
Of course
not,
it's gonna
well,
be.
I was excited for that, but like Holland Roden, all I saw her in was these Time for Whoever to Come Home for Christmas with Tyler. I thought that was one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. Did not like it. Chris McNally is just, for me, does not have a lot of range. Like whenever anyone talks about it, it's usually like, oh, he's so handsome, or I love his hair. It's never like, oh, he's such a good actor. And I just hasn't been really in things I've really liked, and I didn't have a lot of like hope. But yes, it was Detroit, so I was like, okay, at least it's Detroit, even though I knew it was being filmed over in British Columbia. But whatever. But it was so good. It hit on everything. It was, Holland just blew me away with how good she was. Kind of, it goes to the Nelly, right? Sh- Holland was quirky and a little weird in her own ways, but it was at that level where you can just handle it all day long, as opposed to Nelly, who, yes, can become exhausting. So, and then the mystery was good. The characters were good. Chris McNally, hands down, his best thing he's ever been in. The side characters we talked about, the retiring detective, super little role, but so
Right.
good. The chief of police, that woman with her like whatever attitude, like everything's falling around behind her, and she's just like, oh, I'm gonna get a coffee. You deal with this and clean it. Like what? Like just loved everything about this movie. I want more. The ending, I'm a dog guy, and where do we have Canine Mystery up there at 15 for me? And we had the little kitten at, number one. So
Funny.
just great movie. And here's one thing that's interesting. Number one and two for me, they're both directed by Jessica Harmon, which I
Mm,
think the direction now, Tipline is Jessica and her mom Cindy, and but Jessica basically influence on both of those, of which we've talked about it before. They both have sort of the little darker feel, the camera work, the lighting. It's just different in like, yeah, you've got your cozy and the different things there, but here I think direction is so good in these that it's what put it in a whole nother level for me. And like I said, one and two, the Aurora Tea Garden, A Lesson in Murder, almost as good as Tip Line. Maybe when I see Lesson in Murder as many times as I've seen Tip Line, I'll like, oh, you know what? I think it's the same. And maybe even the Aurora, because I've got to see the third one now, the Death of the Diner. So I'm getting to build these characters. So I'm liking Aurora a little more. And if it goes too long with Tip Line, kind of like Cut Color Murder, I kind of want to be invested. I want more of them, but it's been so long that I'm kind of losing interest, right? Because there's so many other good ones coming. So hopefully Tip Line will get another one that does come in so we can build these characters up. So, but all in all, like I say, especially my top four are all absolutely elite mysteries, which you cannot go wrong. And those Auroras, both of them are over there in Hallmark Plus. That's the only way right now you can see them. So two of the top four are on Plus. Once again, go do, at the very least, do the free subscription so you can see these, and you will be glad that you did.
That's funny that you said it was Aurora is also filmed darker, which is totally true. And of course, that one's my number two. And as I said, oh, I don't like it because it's filmed darker. So maybe it's also the movie itself and the characters. I don't know. That one spoke to me. I did want to. Okay, so I'm gonna share the listeners' top 5 movies based on the polls that I did. And so, caveat: I couldn't find all of the mysteries, all of the heavy hitters that we had towards the top. I had most of those poll results. I didn't have some of the bottoms ones. I didn't save them in my notes, unfortunately. So here are the top 5 that I had. I'm assuming, again, the ones that we had at the bottom, I know those weren't well liked, so they weren't going to be in this top 5.
You don't think
Jazz
Jane
Ramsey?
too much for more or whatever, too much
No
loot
Janes, no Janes landed in
it's
the
going
top
to
5.
be a
Now,
top
some of these
five?
might surprise you. Number 5, Hannah Swenson, One Bad Apple. Number 4
That's what
was
I
Tip
had.
Line. Number 3, Aurora, Death at the Diner. Number 2, Cases of Mystery Lane, Death is Listening. And number 1 was Curious Caterer, Forbidden Fruit. So I didn't have the
I wonder
first,
if that's a little recency.
I didn't have the first Curious Caterer. No, because these are all when they aired. So
Oh,
these
I
are
got you.
so
This
again,
the
I didn't
percent.
save, I tried to
Gotcha.
save all of them, but unfortunately I didn't put them all in my notes. So from what I have saved, that is the breakdown of things. All right, because we're going super long, let's break into next week. Here's what we have. We have an interview coming, and then we are going to, because it's Halloween next week, we're going to be reviewing Good Witch Spellbound, which was a 2017 movie. And I can't quite remember. I was reading the descriptions. I kind of remember it, but not fully. But it had Halloween in there, so I'm really excited to dive into some Halloween content and dive into Good Witch because we both enjoyed that series. So I'm
And,
excited
and
to
it's
look into this
mystery
movie.
adjacent, right?
Oh, totally.
It's kind of like we didn't include in our list, which some people may wonder, we did include the
Oh
Signed Seal
yeah,
Delivered
we did not.
because once again, we view that as mystery adjacent.
No, we did not.
We kind of have to have either some sort of felony that's going to put you in jail for a long time, preferably death, to be in our
It's just
mysteries.
too, yeah, it's too not quite the
It's more
same. It's
drama.
more of like, yeah, more drama, more of the family, which I believe you can find this movie in Hallmark Plus, and as well, I think it's going to be airing on, well, let me see, it's going to be airing actually on October 30th. So if you want to watch this at 8 p.m. on Hallmark Family. So on the Hallmark Family, I think they are airing all Good Witches that next week. So smart on them to kind of throw in Good Witch on the Hallmark Family channel if you get that one. So
We get to
all
see
right.
we get to see some Martha, so I'm excited.
Oh yes, more Martha.
Well,
Right.
before we go, I want to say
Okay.
we got another fan
Oh,
mail
yeah.
on the podcast, and thank you very much. Keep them coming. It's great for the
Then we have something
so far they've
to
been great
read.
for the ego. But it
No,
says your
Eric, you have to go
pod.
past the ego. This is my yoga advice. You are more than
I
that.
know, but I'm shallow.
Okay.
That's why I have you.
Oh
You
gosh.
provide the depth, and I
I
provide the superficial. Your podcast is my favorite of the Hallmark ones. Thank you for all your coverage of mysteries. I enjoy the, uh, I cut off whatever it is, but I barely watch I enjoy the mysteries. I barely watch the regular Hallmark channel anymore.
oh,
So,
thank
and this is
you.
from Louisville, Kentucky. I wish
You.
that it would say, at least they could say like, this
The
is
name.
from like first name, last initial, or something, but Louisville listener, thank you very much. We greatly
Mm,
appreciate it. Very
too.
kind.
Thank you.
Um, keep them coming. Like I say, even if you have critiques or things like that. Oh, wait, here's what it was. I didn't scroll. It's thank you for your coverage of the mysteries. I've enjoyed the mystery reviews. I think the Hallmark mysteries had the best movies of the year. I barely watch the regular Hallmark channel.
Agree. This year, I think the mysteries definitely outshined a lot of the Hallmark
There,
actual movie.
there were a couple pockets, like August, right? That's when it was when we
Yep,
had.
there were some good ones. But
But
yeah, the mysteries
but
for me, they usually always are though for me. I've always loved the mysteries.
that's
So
why we do our
it's,
podcast.
it's going to be hard for me to bump off a mystery as my top movie of the year.
Well, we are off into holiday viewing. Not much mysteries to go, but we'll watch our Good Witch and get ready
And the Nutcracker,
for
Operation Nutcracker. Don't forget to watch it.
and then we'll get ready for the Mistletoe Murders with Sandra Drew coming out. Oh, by the way, the interview next week is with, as I was just talking about, Jessica Harmon and her mom, Cindy Harmon. So the directors of Aurora Tea Gardens and Tip Line, the number 1 and 2 movie.
On Eric's list. No,
Well,
on
you had
Eric's
Aurora
list.
up there, so
I did have Aurora, but
top 5.
all right, Eric.
Thank you very much, and we will talk next week.
Bye.